Chelsea versus Arsenal. The reigning champions taking on the early season underachievers. Signs that Chelsea are clicking into gear, whereas for Arsenal, they're really struggling with the very basics in footballing fundamentals. It's a fixture in the Premier League era that's offered up goals galore. Who can forget Kanu's spectacular hat-trick winning goal? Robin van Persie was another hat-trick hero for Arsenal as they hit 5. It was a 6-0 battering at the bridge for Arsene Wenger's 1000th game in charge. And Eden Hazard's sublime individual goal was the difference between the two sides in Chelsea's championship-winning season. History suggests this could be a cracker. That's the past. Let's look at the here and now, and we can take a look at the average positions for the Chelsea team in the first 2 home games of the season. Against Burnley, very congested, very tight in the middle of the park, not covering the pitch as we know the champions did so well last season. However, against Everton, very much addressed, attacking down the wider parts of the pitch. The penetration comes from that 3-5-2. Here we can see Willian. Now, a player of any normal ability can drop the ball back, can elect to take the safe option here and use a teammate, but he elects to go and exploit the space behind the Everton midfield, draws 3 players towards him, releasing a teammate, carries on his run into the box, but it's the positivity that drives his team on. Again, here's another example of that positivity, getting close to Batshuayi, picking up the knockdown, driving into the 18-yard box, looking to affect the opposition. And here is where Antonio Conte's work on the training ground bears fruit in a game. Victor Moses knows exactly where he needs to go once the ball goes back to his midfield, makes his own look, and it's only really the finish that lets this move down. Well, after an impressive start to the season, there'll be a lot of expectation on record signing Alvaro Morata. Brings a more discreet presence to the front line for Chelsea this season and is able to find space in even the tightest of areas. Been particularly effective at home, where he's been involved in all 4 of Chelsea's goals, and it's not hard to see why. Well, we can already see Morata's teammates playing to his strengths. Here, asking questions of the 2 Burnley centre-halves. After this, it's the non-movement that really brings the space into play. He knows that he's found a space to be able to manoeuvre the flick on into a place of danger, and completely complemented by the run of David Luiz and the finish of David Luiz. A wonderful example of how movement and non-movement can create devastating space on a football pitch. Again, Morata finds himself with players who perfectly complement the strengths that he's got. He begins offside, he works his way back onside, finds himself on the penalty spot, in between 2 centre-halves, and from that type of distance is absolutely deadly. So that's Chelsea. Plenty of positivity after that surprising start. As for Arsenal, been less than impressive away from home this season, and a daunting trip to Stamford Bridge awaits them. Away from the Emirates, they've had 26 shots, 0 goals, with poor decision-making and poor execution being at the crux of the matter. Here we see a promising Arsenal move let down by poor decision-making. A wonderful run by Danny Welbeck should end up with the ball square to Alexandre Lacazette. Mesut Ozil getting turned to drive at the heart of the Stoke defence to release Hector Bellerin. Again, the shot's taken on when Lacazette's in a better position. And here we see Hector Bellerin, a defensive player for Arsenal, taking on a shot from outside of the 18-yard box with striking options available. Well, not only have they failed to score, Arsenal have struggled defensively away from home this season, conceding 5 goals in 2 away games. This is the most they've conceded in 2 away games at the start of a season for 6 years. Could it be a problem tactically, or is it down to communication? Here we have Arsenal away at Liverpool, undone by a lack of communication. Mesut Ozil doesn't know that Jordan Henderson is snapping at his heels. Henderson racing forward, and Arsenal just glad that it's not Daniel Sturridge on the end of the through ball. Nacho Monreal, the last man here, trying to take on Mo Salah, one of the quickest players in the Premier League. A lack of options going forward, a lack of movement ahead, means he has to take the chance and almost gets punished. Here we see them absolutely all over the place when it comes to engaging the opposition. Rob Holding looks to go against Emre Can on halfway. He has 2 options here. He can either win the ball or take the man. Unfortunately, he ends up doing neither. Liverpool, again, straight into the attack. The back 3 are all over the place for Arsenal, facing away from the opposition, not knowing who to pick up, where to pick up. And when we look at the back post, Laurent Koscielny ends up with 2 men. Sturridge is the man that ends up scoring. It's a brutal and swift counter-attack from Liverpool, and they're rightly punished. Well, from what we've focused on here today, this London derby certainly should be one to watch. There should be goals. The last time this fixture ended goalless was over a decade ago. Plenty of pride, but more importantly, points at stake.